And because we ourselves write code, we have, I think a special and unique insight into, how to best use the AI models to write code. I think in the code space, we've become very strong competitors.
What industry do you think will get disrupted and what has a certain runway left? I'm asking from the lens of I'm trying to figure out what book to read, which college to go to, what skill set to learn. If I'm starting a startup today, what has some kind of a tailwind?
Yeah.
For a short period of time is okay as well. But
Yeah,
what has
I mean,
tailwind?
I would think about tasks that are human centered. Tasks that involve relating to people. I think that the stuff like code and software engineering is becoming more and more kind of AI focused. Things like math and science.
Is that coding or engineering? If I were to segregate coding and engineering to be two completely different things,
Yeah.
Is coding going away, or is engineering element of software where you're an architect trying to figure out?
I think coding is going away first, or coding is being done by the AI models first, and then the broader task of software engineering will take longer. But I think that is that doing that end to end, I think that is going to happen as well. I would say. But again, the elements of like design or making something that's useful to users or knowing what the demand is, or managing teams of like AI models, like those things may still be present. Again, like there's this comparative advantage is surprisingly powerful, right? Even if you're only doing like 5% of the task, like that 5% gets super amplified and levered because it's like you're only doing 5% of the task, the AI does the other 95%, and so you become 20 times more productive. Again, at some point you get to 99%, and then it becomes harder. But I think there's surprisingly much in that sort of in that zone of comparative advantage. But I would really think about the things that are human centered. Like I think there's something to that. I think there's something to kind of the physical world or things that mix together human centered, the physical world, one of those two, and analytical skills that somehow tie them together. It's similar to the radiologist example I gave.
So what would I study? Say I'm actual use case. I'm 25 years old. I'm trying to pick a profession for myself. I want some kind of tailwind. My outcome is a capitalistic win in the next decade. What industry would I pick outside of something which has a physical interface?
Yeah. Again, anything where you're building on AI, like if AI is a tailwind, if you can be part of some other part of the supply chain, something in the semiconductor space, which I think is that's one example. That has an element of kind of physical world and more traditional engineering, not software engineering. Again, the very kind of human-centered professions. Like that is something I would think in terms of. And I think the other thing I always say is like in the world in which AI can kind of generate anything and create anything, having basic critical thinking skills may be the most important thing to success. I worry about these AI models that generate images and videos, and we don't make models that generate images and videos for many reasons, but this is one of them. It's really hard to tell what's real from what's not. And so a significant part of success may be having the street smarts, not to get fooled by hopefully we can crack down on and regulate some of this fake content, but assume we can't. Critical thinking skills are going to be really important, and you don't want to fall for things that are fake. You don't want to have false beliefs. You don't want to get scammed. Like that's really advice I would give to someone.
If every innovation in the history of humanity killed the core human skills, I'll give you an example. If calculators killed our ability to do arithmetic, if writing reduced the memory of human beings per se, what muscle is AI killing?
So, first of all, I'm not so sure. Like, I still do math in my head quite a lot. I still find it useful to do math in my head, even without a calculator, just because it's like, it's more integrated into my thought processes, right? I might want to say, oh yeah, if like each user paid this amount, then revenue would be that. I want to be able to close that loop in my head without having to give the answer to a calculator. So I think a lot of these skills are still pretty relevant. But I would say that if you don't use things carefully, that you can lose important skills. I think we started see it with students where it's like they have the AI like write the essay for it. It's basically just cheating on homework. So we shouldn't do that. We did some studies around code and showed that depending on how you use the model, we can see de-skilling in terms of writing code. Right? There are different ways to use the model, and some of them don't cause de-skilling, and some of them do. But definitely, if folks are not thoughtful in how they use things, then de-skilling absolutely can happen.
Do you think humans will become stupider as a race in the next decade? Because we are in a way exporting thinking and cognition to systems.
Yeah, I think if we deploy, again, it's the machines of loving grace and adolescence of technology. I think if we deploy AI in the wrong way, if we deploy it carelessly, then yes, people could become stupider. Even if an AI is always going to be better than you at something, there are different ways to use the model, and some of them don't cause de-skilling, and some of them do. But definitely, if folks are not thoughtful in how they use things, then de-skilling absolutely can happen.
Do you think humans will become stupider as a race in the next decade? Because we are in a way exporting thinking and cognition to systems.
Yeah, I think if we deploy, again, it's the machines of loving grace and adolescence of technology. I think if we deploy AI in the wrong way, if we deploy it carelessly, then yes, people could become stupider. Even if an AI is always going to be better than you at something, you can still learn that thing, right? You can still enrich yourself intellectually. And so that's a choice we have to make as individual companies, as individual people, and as a society overall.
When I tried to use Claude Code for the first time, I did struggle to get it to work. It was for somebody who's very stupid and has no coding or programming knowledge. It's not very, very easy. I think there's a learning curve. I heard someone say it well. It's like even prompt engineering is like playing a piano. You can't sit and start playing it. To my audience, I think it becomes increasingly relevant where to learn how to set context, how to prompt, how to use Claude Code better for somebody like me who comes with zero knowledge. Can you recommend how one does that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say, we're trying increasingly to kind of like make that learning curve easier. So like one of the things that caused us to release Claude Cowork, which is basically Claude Code for non-coders, is, oh man, like we were noticing a bunch of non-technical people who really wanted to use Claude Code and were struggling through the command line terminal to do that, which, it's like coders use the command line terminal all the time, but like non-coders, it just kind of like makes things unnecessarily complicated. So, Cowork was designed to be more of a, the kind of, it was powered by the Claude Code engine on the back, but, the idea was to kind of make it, more like user-friendly and like easier to use. So, we're definitely trying to introduce interfaces that kind of make it easier. But I would also say, that there's there's like classes you can take that help you learn this thing. Now, I think it's a very empirical science. You mostly learn by doing, but it's like Anthropic has its like part of the company that we call the Ministry of Education, and I think increasingly put out videos on how to run effective agents and how to prompt models. We've already done some of that, and I think we're gonna ramp it up because we do want everyone to be able to learn this.
वॉर थंडर आपके लिए लंबे समय से प्रतीक्षित नए वाहन और बेहतरीन ग्राफिक्स अपडेट लेकर आया है जो आपको नौवीं वेव की तरह रोमांचित कर देंगे। अब दुनिया का सबसे लोकप्रिय मिलिट्री ऑनलाइन एक्शन गेम और भी रोमांचक और बहुआयामी हो गया है। इटालियन पहियों वाला टैंक कॉन्ट्यूरो के साथ युद्ध में उतरे रूसी।
Elon Musk said 8 words in 2019 that the entire autonomous driving industry laughed at. Here's what he said. LiDAR is a fool's errand. Mark my words. He made a big point to say that vision was the only thing that was needed. 7 years later, every single one of those words have been proven right. But here's what almost no one has connected yet. Elon wasn't just right about self-driving cars. He was right about everything. Robots, software, AGI. The secret was always the same. Vision. And this week, with OpenAI abandoning Sora and Elon doubling, said 8 words in 2019 that the entire only now finally starting to see what he saw all along. Now, I know that sounds like a big claim. Vision is a secret to AGI. That sounds almost too simple. But today I'm going to show you a thread that connects everything Elon has built: FSD, Optimus, Digital Optimus, Grok Imagine, the Neural World Simulator, and the path to AGI through one single insight. And it's an insight that is so fundamental, so obvious in hindsight, that once you see it, you'll wonder how anyone missed it. The insight is this: the world is built for eyes. Humans navigate reality through vision. We drive with our eyes. We work with our eyes. We manipulate objects by watching our hands. Every interface, every road, every factory floor, all designed for beings that see. And Elon understood years before anyone else that if you build AI that masters vision, real world, physics accurate, context rich vision, you don't just solve driving. You solve robots. You solve software. You solve the physical world. You solve intelligence itself. Let me walk you through how every piece connects. Let's start with where it all began. April 2019, Tesla's Autonomy Day. Elon Musk stood on stage and said,
LiDAR is a fool's errand, and anyone relying on LiDAR is doomed.
Musk stood on stage and said,
LiDAR is a fool's errand, and anyone relying on LiDAR is doomed. Doomed. Expensive sensors that are unnecessary. It's like having a whole bunch of expensive appendices.
The industry reaction was brutal. Waymo engineers laughed. Analysts called it reckless. Safety experts said Tesla was gambling with lives. The consensus was clear. You need multiple sensor types, LiDAR, radar, cameras, for safe autonomous driving. But Elon's argument was rooted in first principles. Humans drive using only 2 eyes and a brain. No laser scanners, no radar, just vision and intelligence. If you build a good enough neural network, cameras give you all the information you need. The problem isn't the sensor, it's the AI. In 2021, Tesla removed radar from new vehicles. Pure vision. Tesla Vision. The industry was horrified. Fast forward to today, Tesla's FSD has logged over 8.4 billion miles, the largest real-world autonomous driving dataset on Earth. 1 billion miles added in just the first 50 days of 2026. The Cybercab, no steering wheel, no pedals, no LiDAR, no new vehicles. Pure vision. Tesla Vision. The industry was horrified. Fast forward to today, the industry reaction was brutal. Waymo engineers laughed. Analysts called it reckless. Safety experts said Tesla was gambling with lives. The consensus was clear. You need multiple sensor types, LiDAR, radar, cameras, for safe autonomous driving. But Elon's argument was rooted in first principles. Humans drive using only 2 eyes and a brain. No laser scanners, no radar, just vision and intelligence. If you build a good enough neural network, cameras give you all the information you need. The problem isn't the sensor, it's the AI. In 2021, Tesla removed radar from new vehicles. Pure vision. Tesla Vision. The industry was horrified. Fast forward to today, Tesla's FSD has logged over 8.4 billion miles, the largest real-world autonomous driving dataset on Earth. 1 billion miles added in just the first 50 days of 2026. The Cybercab, no steering wheel, no pedals, no LiDAR, no radar, is in production. The robotaxi is operating without a safety driver in Austin. And what happened to the LiDAR bet? Volvo pulled the plug on its Luminar LiDAR partnership. Luminar stock has collapsed to all-time lows. The companies that bet on LiDAR, they're scrambling. Meanwhile, Ashok Alaswamy, Tesla's vice president of AI, said it plainly at the 2026 Scale ML conference. He said, "It's so obvious you can solve this with cameras. Why wouldn't you solve it with cameras? It's 2026. The self-driving problem is not a sensor problem, it's an AI problem. The cameras have enough information already. That's not just a statement about cars, that's a statement about everything. And it's the thread that connects all of this. Now, here's why it gets really, really interesting. Because solving driving with vision wasn't just about making cars work. It produced something far more valuable, a world model. So what is a world model? It's an AI system that understands how the physical world works. Not just what objects look like, but how they move, interact, and behave according to physics, gravity, momentum, friction, cause and effect. When Tesla's trained its neural network on billions of miles of real-world video, the AI didn't just learn to drive. It learned to understand the world. It learned that cars slow down before turns, that pedestrians step off curbs unpredictably, that rain changes stopping distance, that shadows aren't obstacles. And here's what makes this a moat. Tesla didn't build this world model in a lab. They built it from the largest fleet of mobile cameras on Earth, over 7 million vehicles collecting continuous real-world video in every city, every weather condition, in every country. No one else has this. Waymo has a few thousand vehicles in geofenced areas. OpenAI trained Sora on internet video, no physics context, no real-world interaction. Tesla's world model is grounded in reality because it was trained on reality. But it gets deeper.
AI can now build a website in 90 seconds, while the only AI most people over 40 know is ChatGPT. Disappear for a month and
Elon revealed that Tesla's simulation and video generation are, in his words, the best in the world. Tesla has been generating physics-accurate, real-time video for self-driving training for over a year. Not video that looks pretty, video that obeys physics, where objects have mass, momentum, and interact realistically. This is Tesla's Neural World Simulator. Ashok Goswami detailed it at Scale ML. It's a generative system that predicts the next video frame based on the AI's actions. It runs at 36 frames per second. It creates fully synthetic, interactive driving sessions that are indistinguishable from reality. It can replay historical failures. It can inject adversarial scenarios, add a pedestrian that wasn't there, create a dangerous maneuver that never happened, and test the AI's response. And here's the breakthrough that connects everything. The same neural world simulator that trains cars to drive also trains robots to move. Ashok confirmed it. The same video generation network that creates driving scenarios generalizes to indoor scenes for Optimus. The robot walks around the factory inside the simulator. It learns to navigate physical space using the same vision-based architecture that learned to navigate roads. Same AI, same architecture, same vision, cars, robots. That's not a coincidence. That's the strategy. Now, let's make this very explicit, because most people think of Optimus as a robotics project. It's not. It's a vision project. Think about what a humanoid robot needs to do. Walk through a room without bumping into things, pick up an object without crushing it, hand the tool to a person without poking their eye out, navigate a factory floor alongside humans. So how do humans do all of this? Vision. We see the room, we see the object, we see the person's hand, we process continuous video from our eyes, understand the physics of what's happening, and act accordingly. Elon understood this from the start. That's why Optimus doesn't use LiDAR to navigate. It uses cameras. The same approach as FSD, vision in, action out. And because Tesla already built a world model that understands physics through vision from billions of miles of driving data, they had a massive head start on robot intelligence. The world model didn't need to learn physics from scratch for robots. It already understood physics. It just needed to apply that understanding to a different body. Tesla plans to have over 1,000 Optimus Gen 3 robots working soon in Tesla's factories, handling parts, kitting components, navigating production floors, all using vision. And the training flywheel is now spinning in both directions. Every mile a Tesla car drives generates vision data that improves the world model. Every task an Optimus robot performs generates vision data that improves the world model. Cars make robots smarter. Robots make the cars smarter. Both make the world model deeper. This is the competitive moat that no one else has. Google can build a great language model. OpenAI can write brilliant text. But neither of them has 7 million cameras collecting real-world physics data every single day. Neither of them has robots in factories generating manipulation data. Neither of them has a world model that was trained on reality. And now we get to the part that I think is the most underappreciated. Because vision doesn't just solve cars and robots, it solves software. On March 11th, Elon announced Digital Optimus, also called MacroHerd, a joint Tesla XAI project that creates an AI agent capable of doing what an entire software company does. Now, every other AI company, Microsoft, Google, Anthropic, they all build software agents that interact with applications through APIs, through code, through structured integrations. You build a connector for each app. It's the coding approach. Elon's approach? Vision. Again, Digital Optimus watches the screen. It processes the last 5 seconds of screen video, exactly like FSD processes road video. It sees what a human sees. It sees the mouse and keyboard like a human. No APIs, no code, no custom integrations, just vision and action. This is the exact same philosophy. The digital world, computer screens, applications, interfaces was built for human eyes. Just like roads were built for human eyes. Just like factories were built for human eyes. Don't build special sensors or special code. Build an AI that sees. And here's the insight that I think connects it all. The reason this works for Digital Optimus is because Tesla already built a vision-based AI that understands context. FSD doesn't just see a red light. It understands what a red light means. It understands the context of an intersection. Digital Optimus doesn't just see a button on screen. It understands what clicking that button does in the context of a workflow. Context through vision. That's the secret. Not just seeing pixels, understanding what they mean. Elon said, your Tesla can do office work while parked. Millions of AI-4 equipped vehicles become distributed compute nodes, plus millions of dedicated units at supercharger stations with 7 gigawatts of power. Everyone else is building API integrations one app at a time. Elon already has millions of vision-equipped compute nodes deployed. Different approach, same principle, vision. And now we arrive at the climax of this entire thesis. Because everything I've told you so far, vision for driving, vision for robots, vision for software, converges on one final destination, AGI. This week, 2 things happen that make this unmistakably clear. First, OpenAI shut down Sora permanently, their AI video generation product. The one that was supposed to revolutionize content creation was burning $15 million a day in compute costs, but it only generated $2.1 million in total revenue, lost 66% of its users in 3 months, and was plagued by deepfake scandals. The planned billion-dollar Disney deal, it collapsed. Second, Elon posted on X, and I'll show you this. The next Grok Imagine release will be epic. We are doubling down. Now, on the surface, this looks like a competitive jab. OpenAI exits video, XAI rushes in, simple market dynamics. But that is not what's actually happening. And this is where you need to think deeper. Why is Elon doubling down on video generation? Not for content creation, not to compete with TikTok, not to make funny AI videos, because video generation, physics accurate, context rich video generation is the key to training AGI. Let me explain why. Here's my thesis. AGI, artificial general intelligence, it requires an AI that understands the real world, not just text, not just code, the physical 3-dimensional cause and effect world that we live in. An AI that can reason about objects, predict outcomes, and understand consequences. How do you train that understanding? You need a system that can generate and test scenarios in the physical world, or a simulation that's indistinguishable from it. You need a world model that predicts what happens next based on physics, not just patterns in text. And what is physics-accurate video generation? It's literally a world model expressed as video. It's an AI that predicts the next frame of reality based on physical laws. Now, connect the dots. Tesla has been doing this for driving for years, generating physics-accurate video to train FSD. That same world model extends to Optimus for robotics. XAI's Grok Imagine is now scaling this to general video generation. 1.245 billion videos generated in January 2026 alone. 298 million visits to grok.com in February. While OpenAI burned $15 million a day on Sora and got nothing useful out of it, Tesla has been quietly building a video generation engine that actually understands physics because it was trained on real world data from real cars driving real roads. OpenAI tried to build video generation as a product. Elon is building video generation as infrastructure for AGI. That's the difference. And that's why Sora died, while Grok Imagine is doubling down. Sora was a consumer product with no path to profitability. Grok Imagine is a training engine for world model that powers cars, robots, and eventually general intelligence. And here's my own insight that I want to leave you with on this section. Everyone in AI is focused on language. GPT-5, Claude, Gemini, they're all competing on text and reasoning. But Elon is betting that the path to AGI doesn't run through language alone. It runs through vision, through video, through understanding the physical world. Why? Because language is abstract. You can generate perfectly grammatical text that describes impossible physics. But video can't cheat. If your video generation model produces a ball that falls upward, it's wrong. Physics accurate video is a harder problem than text. And solving it means you've built an AI that actually understands how the world works. That's the secret. The path to AGI is through vision, and Elon has been building the infrastructure for it across Tesla, XAI, and SpaceX for a decade.
मेरे पास ट्रेडिंग इंडस्ट्री में 10 साल से ज़्यादा का एक्सपीरियंस है और मैंने सब कुछ ट्राई करा। कैंडलस्टिक्स, चार्ट पैटर्न्स, ट्रेंड लाइंस, इंडिकेटर्स, स्मार्ट मनी कॉन्सेप्ट्स, आईसीटी और न जाने क्या क्या। एक चीज़ मुझे 100% श्योर हूँ उसके बारे में जो
Now, I need to be fair here because this thesis, vision as the universal key, has legitimate criticisms. First, Tesla's FSD still isn't 100% perfect, 8.4 billion miles, and it still has incidents, albeit minor fender benders. The Austin robotaxi service has had roughly 14 incidents in 8 months. Again, all fender benders, but this is work still to do. Second, Waymo's multi-sensor approach also works. Waymo's operating driverless taxis safely in multiple cities using LiDAR plus cameras plus radar. You can argue that Tesla's approach scales better, and I believe it does, but you can't argue the alternative doesn't work at all. Third, the leap from vision solves driving to vision solves AGI is enormous. Understanding road physics is a very specific domain. General intelligence requires reasoning about everything: social dynamics, abstract concepts, moral judgments. It's not obvious that video generation alone gets you there. These are real objections. I'm not dismissing them. But here's the reframe. The thesis isn't that vision is the only ingredient for AGI. The thesis is that vision, specifically physics-accurate world modeling through video, is the missing ingredient that everyone else is ignoring. Language models are impressive. Alone gets you there. These are real objections. I'm not dismissing them. But here's the reframe. The thesis isn't that vision is the only ingredient for AGI. The thesis is that vision, specifically physics-accurate world modeling through video, is the missing ingredient that everyone else is ignoring. Language models are impressive, but they hallucinate because they don't understand physics. They can describe a ball falling, but they don't know why it falls. A world model trained on real-world video does know. It has to, or that predictions fail. Elon isn't saying text doesn't matter. He's saying that grounding intelligence and vision in physical world understanding is what turns a language model into something that can actually interact with reality. And that's exactly what cars, robots, and digital optimists all require. Even if the timeline to AGI takes longer than Elon predicts, and it probably will, the companies that own the best vision data, the best world models, and the best physics accurate video generation will have the most defensible position. And that company is Tesla by a wide margin. So, what does this mean for you? If you're an investor, here's how to think about it. The market values Tesla as a car company. Some analysts give it credit for robotaxi and Optimus. Almost no one is pricing in Tesla has the best world model on earth, and that world model is the foundation for AGI. But consider this. If the path to AGI really does run through vision, and Tesla really does have the best vision AI, trained on the most real world data, deployed in the most products, generating the most physics accurate simulations, then Tesla isn't just a car company or a robot company or even an AI company. It's the company with the deepest understanding of the physical world. And that understanding is the most valuable asset on earth. Every product Elon builds is a new surface for collecting vision data and applying vision intelligence. Cars, robots, software agents, orbital data centers, each one deepens the world model. Each one makes every other product better. The market is pricing the products, it's not pricing the world model underneath them. And if this thesis is right, that's where the real value lives. Here's what you can do with this framework. 1, start thinking about Tesla's products as data collection platforms, not standalone businesses. Every Tesla sold is a camera array feeding the world model. Every Optimus deployed is a manipulation data source. The products are valuable, but the data they generate may be worth more. 2, watch Grok Imagine's development closely. The pace of video generation improvement at XAI, 1.245 billion videos in January, major updates every 2 to 4 weeks, is a leading indicator of how fast the world model is advancing. If Grok Imagine starts producing physics accurate video at scale, that's a signal. 3, follow Ashok Galaswami. His posts and presentations are the most technically specific window into Tesla's AI strategy. When he talks about the neural world simulator, about unified architectures, about vision based learning, he's telling you the roadmap. 4, compare Tesla's approach to everyone else's. Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, they're all competing on language. Tesla is competing on vision. If you believe the physical world matters for AGI, and it obviously does, then ask yourself who has the bigger moat, the company with the best chatbot or the company with 7 million cameras collecting physical data every day. 5, understand that Sora's failure and Grok Imagine's acceleration aren't coincidences. They tell you something fundamental about what works and what doesn't in video AI. Products built on internet video fail. Systems trained on real-world physics data succeed. Tesla has the real-world data, full stop. In 2019, Elon Musk said LiDAR was a fool's errand. The industry laughed. In 2021, he removed radar from Tesla vehicles. Analysts panicked. In 2024, he said Tesla simulation and video generation were the best in the world. Nobody paid attention. In 2026, he doubled down on Grok Imagine the same week OpenAI gave up on Sora. And now the picture is clear. It was always about vision. Self-driving, robots, software, AGI, one insight, applied everywhere for a decade.
POV, your brain is racing with ideas, but you're stuck thumb typing at 20 WPM. We've all been there, typing.
On the topic of 3 hobbies that can change your 20s. See, that's the topic of my script, and I've given it a context, I've given it what I wanted to observe, and I've given it an aim. That's the most prominent prompt structure that you will see today. So I can just ask it to run, and this is going to do a great job of understanding how I'm writing a reel script, and then it will create it for me. Another thing to do is to mention the limitations. What word count do you want? What should be the structure of the reel that you're looking at? So this is what we get right here. Here is a reel script built to match your tone. Now, if I think this is too long, instead of adding a new message over here, I can just edit this message right here. And I can say, and keep the word limit to 150 words and use the SB7 framework. This is a storytelling framework that you can use to create more engaging content. I knew about it, so I'm just telling it to do it in that way. So it's going to create the observations, and I can now start using it to write content. So as you can see, this script is actually much more effective. It's in the word limit and it just looks great. So word count is 148. This is the script right here. I can shoot and I can make this video live. Just a very simple example of how to use Claude for writing. Now, as you might have seen, I've been typing a lot of prompts into Claude. It takes time and I can only think faster than I can type. So how do you fix that? Well, Whisperflow is an excellent voice to text model that works much better than native dictation. So suppose I say, summarize this article. Oh no, analyze this. No, actually just turn it into an infographic. And it got exactly what I wanted. Most tools would type all of that or worse, execute the wrong instructions entirely. Whisperflow understands what you actually want and gives you a clean and ready to use prompt. What I love the most is their snippet feature. For example, I often use Claude for writing scripts. Instead of typing the same prompt again and again, I can simply just say, turn this into a real script. And look at that prompt. It just drafted the full prompt with all the details in it. And you can set up custom snippets just like this one for your own use cases. And you can use it almost everywhere. Notion, Gmail, ChatGPT, Claude. If you spend a lot of time typing on your laptop, this is honestly a no-brainer. Go try it out with the link in the description of this video, and let's get back to Claude. If you go over here, you can see that you have more options on the left side. Let me open this up. You have something called as custom. Now, customize is where you will see skills and connectors. Connectors, time typing on your laptop, this is honestly a no-brainer. Go try it out with the link in the description of this video, and let's get back to Claude. If you go over here, you can see that you have more options on the left side. Let me open this up. You have something called as customize. Now, customize is where you will see skills and connectors. You can see that you have more options on the left side. Let me open this up. You have something called out with the link in the description of this video, and let's get back to Claude. If you go over here, you can see that you have more options on the left side. Let me open this up. You have something called as customize. Now, customize is where you will see skills and connectors. Connectors are a way for you to connect Claude with your other apps. So I can actually go on to Gmail and connect Claude with Gmail. So let me just do that right now. Okay, let's say continue. We are connected. Okay, so connect Gmail to Claude to quickly find important emails. So now I can go back to a new chat and I can go to connectors and I have Gmail enabled. So I can say find important emails that need my reply urgently, for example, from my Gmail. Let's just say that. So now it's going to connect to my Gmail and start finding those. So as you can see, loading tools. Let me search for 100 emails. So it's now going to Gmail. So you see, I can just run this and get the insights from my email without even opening it. So many of us open Gmail and instantly get overwhelmed that, oh my God, I just can't look at that email. So you can just use Claude to sort it out for you just like this by using a connector. There are more connectors to actually use. If you go on to customize, you can find more connectors over here. GitHub integration, Google Drive, Google Calendar. You can even ask it to view what's happening today, schedule, new meetings, send invites, things like that. Okay, this is skills. We'll cover it in some time, but basically it's a set of instructions that you can give to Claude for it to have specific knowledge about doing one task. In this case, I made a new skill integration, Google Drive, Google Calendar, opening it. So many of us open Gmail and instantly get overwhelmed. Emails that need my reply So connect Gmail to Claude to quickly find important emails. So now I can go back to a new chat and I can go to connectors and I have Gmail enabled. So I can say find important emails that need my reply urgently, for example, from my Gmail. Let's just say that. So now it's going to connect to my Gmail and start finding those. So as you can see, loading tools. Let me search for 100 emails. So it's now going to Gmail. So you see, I can just run this and get the insights from my email without even opening it. So many of us open Gmail and instantly get overwhelmed that, oh my God, I just can't look at that email. So you can just use Claude to sort it out for you just like this by using a connector. There are more connectors to actually use. If you go on to customize, you can find more connectors over here. GitHub integration, Google Drive, Google Calendar. You can even ask it to view what's happening today, schedule, new meetings, send invites, things like that. Okay, this is skills. We'll cover it in some time, but basically it's a set of instructions that you can give to Claude for it to have specific knowledge about doing one task. In this case, I made a new skill called generate infographic, which basically takes in some content, uses the Nano Banana Pro API and generates an infographic for me in the style that I want. And this is the instructions for it. So we'll cover this in some time, but these are different skills that you can give to Claude and ask it to do specific tasks. It's basically like a workflow that you are telling it to execute. Let's go back to what we were doing. Okay, let's again go to Plus and we have access to web search. So I can just ask it queries about something. Show me the best Netflix shows that are new for me to watch in 2026. And it's going to reference the web and find out the best shows that I should be watching in 2026. So as you can see, searching the web. And it's a great way for you to just quickly get stuff without actually going on Google and searching and looking at 3 different websites. So that's what we get right here. Peaky Blinders, Vladimir. Something very bad is going to happen. So these are the ones that you should watch. Now, the worst feeling when you're using Claude is when it is executing a task and right in the middle of it, it says limit exceeded. And you just can't use Claude for the next few hours. Now, if you want to prevent that from happening, there are 8 ways that will help you save 80% of your Claude credits. If you use Claude and you keep hitting the usage limit, you need to do these 8 things now. Number 1, don't have long chats. Instead, start fresh every 15 to 20 messages. Imagine you're having a very long conversation with Claude about something. Every time you send a new message, it's taking the entire context, sending it to Claude and getting the result back and showing it to you. Sometimes this can take a lot of tokens and you will reach your limit very fast because of it. So as a rule of thumb, it's very important for you to ask it to summarize all context, copy the context and start a new chat after every 10 to 15 messages. And then continue the conversation in the new window. Number 2, edit the prompt instead of chatting more. If Claude didn't get the right answer, don't give it new changes later in chats. Instead, just edit your previous prompt and give more context, and your free Claude quota will go a long way. Number 3, instead of asking one question at a time, combine them in one prompt and ask it in one go. Number 4, if you keep dealing with a lot of files, instead of uploading them again and again, set up a different Claude project in which you will upload the files once and Claude will have context of those files forever. This is really important because if you keep uploading new files, that's more tokens, more credits that Claude has to use to analyze the same file over and over again. Number 5 is to set up memory in settings. You don't need to add the same context over and over again. Claude will always remember what you've told it in the memory. Number 6, use the right model. See, Claude has 3 different models, the Haiku, Sonnet, and the most powerful, Opus. Haiku and Sonnet are good for writing and simple tasks, but for deeper and long research tasks, Opus is the way to go. And because Opus is a better model, it also takes a lot of credits compared to something like a Haiku. Number 7, stop working at one go. Understand that Claude resets its limits in a 5-hour window. So you can have a morning session with Claude, you can have a noon session with Claude, and then you can have a night session with Claude. This way, if you pace your work in 3 different zones, you'll be able to work with Claude much more effectively. And the last one, turn off capabilities you're not using. Connectors, research, web search, extended thinking. Even if you're not using these, Claude is still loading them up for every message that you're sending, and that takes credits. Now, these 8 tips are really useful for you if you want to only use Claude for free and don't intend on upgrading to the Pro or the Max plan. Write them down, try it out today, and tell me if this helped you use Claude for a longer period of time. Next up.
This is how a ramen brand reached over 1 billion people without using social media.
In my opinion, going to be one of the top 2 ad platforms in the future, and it'd be kind of stupid of you not to jump.
We have research. Now, research is really cool because here you get an extensive way to research the web and come up with interesting insights. So I can basically say research about the best mics to buy as a YouTuber who is just getting started and records a lot of screen sharing tutorials from his home and has a budget of 20k INR and lives in India, let's just say Bengaluru, and wants it delivered in 3 to 5 days max. Let's just see what it does. It's going to research extensively about it. Now, as you can see, I was actually giving it a lot of context. Enable the connectors for Claude to use in research. Now we can just disable this because I don't think we need Gmail here, and then we can confirm. So it's going to research about it and come up with insights. But one thing you'll notice is that I'm adding context every time because I don't think we need Gmail here, and then we can confirm. So it's going to research about it and come up with insights. But one thing you'll notice is that I'm adding context every time. If you don't want to do that, there's actually a better way to use Claude, and that is by going on to your settings and you go over here and give it everything about yourself. So let me just quickly activate Whisper Flow. And I can just start using over here. So I am a 24-year-old YouTuber based in Bengaluru, India, but I hail from Indore in Madhya Pradesh. I'm a strict vegetarian. I love to travel. I love new experiences. I'm also a hardcore AI enthusiast, love learning about building workflows and agents. I also love to travel a lot and have new experiences. Let's say that's what you want to know about. So we have that information set up. You can now just save changes. And now Claude just knows about your age, your preferences, where do you come from. So in case you ask it certain questions that, hey, which bag should I buy? It will not give you dollars in terms of the prices. It will actually give you Indian prices, things available in India for context. Now, if you go back, you'll see that this is actually taking a lot of time and researching everything. So if you go over here, you can see that it's actually looking up on Amazon, Flipkart, on different review websites and coming up with an extensive research. This is like a deep research feature on ChatGPT that you already know about. So we'll let this do its job, and I will go on and tell you about this amazing thing you can do right now, and that is to download Claude. If you use your Mac or your desktop, the best experience of Claude is actually to download it. So this is the website, claude.com/download. You can simply download it for Mac or your Windows, and you can set it up. And once you download and log in, this is the app that you will basically see. So chat you've already seen, but there's two new things that we have to talk about: Cowork and Code. So we'll go through them one by one. But first, let me tell you about an important thing, and that's called as projects. Now, chat is for something quick that you want to know about, like what microphones to buy, or just have a very quick query. So you can go on to chat and just ask a question there and have a bit of conversation. Turn on voice mode, use web search or research. But if you have one task that you keep doing every single day, it's very important to use projects for that, because you don't want to be adding context every single day. Projects is basically like custom GPT. So you create a new project, you give it a name, let's say YouTube long form scripts, and we can just say you are a script writer with over 5 years of experience writing in-depth YouTube documentary scripts for the Indian audience in sectors like startups, technology, innovation, creativity. Let's just pull it out like that and create the project. Now, once you've made this project, the next step is to start using it. The first thing to do is to add all the context. So if you have multiple files in sectors like startups, the app that you will basically